I am Rob.
I'm Katie.
And
This is
There's character pairs. Yeah, got it. Almost got it.
On the level.
There you go. What? Snap, 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 snap. What am I saying? See, our mouths aren't matching what we're saying on the screen. Why is that, Katie?
Because the sound did not save when we initially filmed this.
Exactly. So what are we doing?
Making lemonade out of lemons.
We are doing commentary. That's right. Thank you, Katie, for that delightful introduction. And as you know, as you can see in this, we're going to be commentating on what we actually recorded, which was clearly the singular glass of milk. Correct?
No, it was brownies. And
It was brownies.
Why do we have milk? Because milk goes excellently with brownies.
Yes, and you're supposed to give it to mice, I think.
Oh, you're supposed to give a mouse a cookie, and then when you give it a cookie...
No, but you're not supposed to give the mouse a cookie because then it's going to ask for all these other things in return. That's the point of the book, wasn't it?
But it was happy and it was cute, and that was a good book.
That, of course. So yes, so we did actually record this, and then we realized that the audio didn't record, and so we thought, well, do we really want to make 4 trays of brownies all over again?
And the answer was no, because this episode is for the boxed brownie mixes.
That's true. And honestly, consuming that many brownies, first off,
It was a lot.
it was a lot of brownies, and we had
For 2 people.
we had a
a
couple
lot.
issues. One, yes, it was a lot of food. Actually, I think I put on 4 pounds overnight from having consumed all these.
It's
But
the preservatives.
I
Really.
mean, I feel super preserved. I am so preserved. I'm
You're
post-served.
like a mummy? I said, are you like a mummy? Because you're so preserved.
Yes. No, I'm a guy, so I'd be a dummy.
That's a quality dad joke.
Nah,
over there.
it's a dad joke. I don't know what the quality is. So yes,
What
so
are we doing right now? Are we waxing poetically about?
of course. I mean,
boxed
look at me,
brownie
like with the
mixes
hand
and
things.
how
I didn't
we
put
are
on my
like,
rings and
no,
things.
you can't have this. Make them from scratch. I mean, they really aren't that bad, but like you could totally do it.
No, they're not actually all that complicated to make. But I mean, and we did make all 4 at one time, right? We
Yes.
separated them, made sure that we did it exactly, fairly close to what the instructions called for.
Except we got the dimensions off on
Yeah.
our baking vessel. I
So
still
we-
don't think that was too that.
Not so egregious though. It wasn't
No.
that bad. So the baking, I think the ingredients that we the bake time we used was for like a 9x13, and I think our pan was slightly bigger than that. But we actually had 4 identical pans that we had specifically for this, cooking at nearly the same temperature. I think 3 of them at the same temperature, and 1 of them was at a warmer temperature.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess in the end, I guess we might as well say it. They were seriously
A lot of them
underbaked,
were a hot
right?
mess.
Well, I mean, quite literally a hot mess. They were severely
Yes.
underbaked, which is interesting. So there's also that. So this is something that we might have to revisit, I think, later. But for the time being, I mean, I don't plan on doing this anytime soon. That was a
No,
lot.
it was a lot. I mean, they were okay, but it made me want to just make my own brownies.
Well, and that's true. The brownies you make at home from scratch are going to be a lot better. And actually, it's not that much harder to do that, I think.
No.
So
You actually just have to melt the chocolate and like,
right. I mean, but that's not all that difficult. All things
No, but
considered.
the whole point of like the box brownie mixes was it was initially based out of like the Depression times. So that's probably what I'm talking about at some point here, where it was like the 1930s. Food was scarce. You could actually literally just mix it with water, and you could still have a sweet treat. So it was something like that. And then back in the 50s, they realized, hey, the sales are getting a little lower. So they started, adding add a couple eggs, add some butter instead or whatever. So it was supposed to help the housewives feel like they were actually doing something and they were baking and not just getting something off the shelf.
No, that's true. I mean, that makes sense. I've heard that story before too.
Yes.
And so for ours, we actually had 4 that we were comparing. And what were the 4?
I was Betty Crocker, Duncan Hines, Pillsbury, and Trader Joe's.
Yes. So we'll get into. Oh, and I think look at that. You're
Oh my
counting
gosh,
it
I
up.
think I'm actually just doing that right now.
Talking about right now. All 4. Like the hands.
And someone was probably going to ask, why not Ghirardelli? Well,
Actually,
not everyone can do Ghirardelli.
Kristen suggested that.
I've heard it's pretty good. I had a coworker that said that when she does make box brownie mixes, she does do that, and people think it's homemade.
Interesting.
But I also think it's probably because the quality of the chocolate's a little bit better.
I would expect Ghirardelli, whose whole jam is chocolate, to have
eke it out just a little bit.
exactly. So, what are we talking about now? I'm not entirely sure.
Probably that Betty Crocker was not an actual person.
Oh, really?
She wasn't. So she was created in like the 1920s for consumers to really feel like there was a connection to the product, and then she's changed her look like 7 times since.
You say she's changed her look, so she had it in command. The corporation.
Betty Crocker Corporation.
Oh, there it is. There's our Betty Crocker in our.
Yeah, I'm totally talking about that though.
Yes.
Also, did you know that the Pillsbury Doughboy has a birthday, and he was born in 1965?
I probably knew this, and I've forgotten it since then because we've mentioned all this on this at some point. Now, important question.
But to be fair, also, this whole commentary is happening like 2 weeks after we filmed this. We don't remember anything what we said, so this is somewhat.
We're kind of doing this. Yeah, it was a bit of work to do all this, and actually, I think what sparked this was we talked about finding ways to do commentary to salvage this video, because without the sound, there's nothing you can do with this. And since I've started streaming at the original Nyando,
shameless plug.
It's not shameless. Full of shame. I guess no shame. There is no shame. So I guess it is shameless. Yeah. Shame. Anyway, we decided to use my streaming software to actually try to record this. So that is what we're actually doing. So I've had a chance to stream a bunch, and this seems like a kind of a fun way to approach it. So what were we saying about Pillsbury Doughboy? He has a birthday. What's the birthday?
His birthday is November 7th, 1965.
That makes him a Scorpio.
Is that true?
I know. I just said it, and it sounds convincing, right?
Yeah, it does. Well, because in California, everyone is really into astrology one way or another.
It's
There's also a lot of psychic shops, and they are usually conveniently located next to nail salons or cannabis places.
Does that say something about the nature of?
I don't know. There's also a psychic bookshop that's off of Ventura, and I'm kind of curious just to peruse it, just to say I did. A
psychic bookshop, you show up and it's like, we know exactly what you want.
Oh,
Bam.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be amazing, but then they get something terrible. Like, I guess for you it doesn't matter. Like, you'd still read a book. You would read a terrible book.
Sometimes don't you ever hate read? Does anyone do that? Please leave a comment down. Yes, where it's something where like.
Is it like hating to read?
No, it's like the story is terrible, but it's still kind of fun just to like hate on it. So you keep reading it because you're like, how much worse can it be? And then at the end of it, you're like, this was terrible, but I kind of had a fun time like tearing it to shreds. You're reading it to filth.
I feel like in this case, I'm looking at
the nutrition cook time and the nutrition
facts, which is, I mean, the answer is
they were quite comparable.
Not great. They're all very similar, all not great.
I do remember that the Betty Crocker smelled like Play-Doh, and I was very concerned about consuming it.
Yeah, well, and one of them in particular, it might have been the Pillsbury, was quite literally a liquid in the center.
It was.
It's interesting because, I mean...
I think it was the most liquidy.
What was it? It was the most liquid?
I think the Pillsbury was the most liquidy in the middle.
So they give you these recommended cook times, and, depending on your pan size and all that, and clearly we underbaked them. And you probably want to bake it a little more or a little less, depending on what you're looking for. But these were pretty severely underbaked. Now, I know that, I have a friend of mine even who actually prefers almost that they not be baked at all. You can take the chocolate, mix it with eggs and milk, and he'll just drink it, if he could. He's fairly low carb though, so he doesn't do it often. But if he could,
no offense.
I mean,
not to yuck your yum. Maybe it does taste good.
I mean, it was tasty. I mean, because we still kind of spooned it into our face holes.
We did, but it was.
But we also baked them for another 20 or 30 minutes after we filmed this. We realized, like, let's see what else we can do with the baking.
Because we were like, well, it's not going to solidify.
Right.
Because, sometimes it will be a little bit soft, and then you just, like, kind of leave it to kind of rest overnight or just for a couple hours, and then it kind of, congeals. Not congeals. That sounds gross. But it solidifies, and then it's totally easy to, like, cut them up or whatever. That did not happen, so we wound up trying to bake them a little bit more, but the Pillsbury still was kind of not liquidy at that point, but it was still very soft.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we really spent a lot of time going over information with these.
We kind of do. So, another fun fact about the Doughboy.
Go right ahead.
He is
the Doughboy.
8.75 inches tall. That's including his hat, and I know I definitely shared that fun fact
I remember you sharing that actually, which is some BS, because I feel like You can't put a hat on yourself and then be like, that's my height. Unless the hat is actually connected to him.
But maybe it is. He's never seen without a hat. Has anyone ever seen the
I
dope
feel
boy
like
without a hat?
there's probably been a clip or two of him just like his hat falling off or something.
Maybe.
I feel like
But then he always has to get it back. It's part of him.
it is kind of part of him. It's like
It's a loud
someone else
chair.
who has a hat. Is it a loud chair? I don't know if the audio's picking that up.
Okay.
Probably not. The audio's actually pretty good on this whole setup.
I don't know. And then I did go for quite some time talking about Betty Crocker, and then now she doesn't look like a Betty. She looks like an Elizabeth. Because I feel like Elizabeth is more of a country club name. Like she would. Be called
she
Betty.
doesn't have that like.
So she looks like, if you ever Google the iterations of Betty Crocker, you will know what I'm talking about.
This is something I could possibly throw up here, but actually, since we're doing this kind of last minute, this has to go up tomorrow. So we're just recording this the night before.
That's what I'm saying, though. Go Google it. Wonders of the internet.
There you go.
And then you will see what I'm talking about.
But that's the thing. With a name like Betty Crocker, I kind of imagine like an older, not grandma fully, but like grandma-esque.
She was never.
No, I know she was never, but like, I don't know, like the 1950s housewife doesn't strike me as like the
Are you
Betty.
thinking of Betsy Ross when you think of Betty Crocker?
Nope, I don't know who that is.
She was the one. Yes, you do.
What? No.
Like supposedly like made the American flag. It was like.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like older, maybe like 60s. But not like.
So like a Nona.
No, not quite, because Nona's still like grandma to me, right? Oh, there it is. There's the carve. There's the carving.
Oh yeah, we tried. I do know we were trying to put both the corner pieces and the center because we wanted to see, because people have different tastes.
This is true. Now, do you prefer the corner or the centerpiece?
I think I prefer the centerpiece because I tend to like my brownies fudgier.
It's true. I guess it depends on the fudginess of the
Except
brownies.
for this time, because I know I definitely was eating like the corner pieces first.
Yeah. Oh man, it's kind of making me crave brownies now. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of.
This weekend we can go get the Baker's chocolate. I can make it.
I just came back from the doctor's office and got told I have to worry about my cholesterol, and she's like,
what
"Let's
about
get."
the cowboy cookies that I made? Those were really good.
I mean, is it full of butter?
Yes. It also has coconut and pecans and chocolate. And what's
I mean,
not to like?
you can't be like, "Hey, we're gonna go to this place. Here, have this pizza. It's full of healthy things and also snake poison." I don't.
What? Okay, a cookie is not the same thing as snake poison.
Well, when you have high cholesterol, it might as well be.
Okay, well, I'm not here for a long time, so.
I mean.
I'm here for a good time.
I mean, you're getting pretty close to the long time portion of it. Oh. Well, I hope it's been a good time too.
My decrepit old heart.
All right. So, what are we doing? We're talking about the thing.
I'm trying
it's
to
chewy.
chew
It's
this
not chewy.
without showing people a mouthful of brownie, and that was difficult.
Yes. That's the other thing, is like getting it all over your teeth.
I know, it's not cute.
No, it's not.
Not a cute look.
I mean, at least not for the public. If it's like, oh, it's cute, you can I just wipe it off, you're fine. But
Oh, and then you also only got the knife, and then you were trying to feed me with a very sharp knife.
It's a butter knife. How sharp is
It's
your...
not a butter knife.
That is I'm not using
it was a paring knife, I think.
No, did I use...
Yeah, you used
Hold on, we're going to switch over to the screen.
You totally did.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's a paring knife. Okay, so it's a little...
Looks like.
adjust my height. There we go. Okay. All right, so it was not very... I guess I did just sharpen the knives, too. So that's the thing that I do occasionally.
Oh, and I do remember we were trying to compare them, and the Betty Crocker just kind of tasted forgettable. It smelled like Play-Doh. It still kind of smelled like Play-Doh when it was cooked.
Yeah.
But it just was kind of mid.
Mid. But again, mid is not bad.
It's
well, here's the thing.
passable.
I would say
It's still
forgettable.
passable.
It's not even... It's... In the context of these, I think mid is... Maybe not mid. Maybe a little worse than mid. Right? It's not good. Right?
It could be a C minus.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, it's passable.
Yeah.
It's not, you would still take that home to your parents maybe, and they'd say, good job.
You would cook this and bring it to your mother, and you can actually see how liquidy those
Yeah, I know you can.
those are. And we do have the comparisons for the how they looked when they were baked as well. So we can show that in just a moment. But I think...
You know what I just realized? We both had gaming-related...
Oh, we did. Yeah, you were in
t-shirt.
Garrus, and I leveled up to controller person. It actually said level up to uncle because my sister got that for me when she announced that she was pregnant. Which, I mean, we knew it was kind of coming because she's been trying for a while. Anyway, but
and then
what?
see, it was so crumbly. I remember that it was hard for me to just get a piece.
I'm thinking, chewing, thinking.
Okay, it was a big piece.
It was. It was.
You're saying something.
I am
think
saying
you said,
something.
Hey, this is better than the Betty Crocker.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, again, that wasn't much of a challenge. But I think we can skip actually forward. We can actually make this episode shorter.
Okay.
If that works for you. All right. Does that work for everybody here? We're going to skip this ahead just a little bit.
We talked about how soupy it is. Look at how soupy that is.
Extremely soupy.
You know what'd be fun if it was like in a sports thing? You could have like the little red circle and go like, look at that.
Oh, yeah, there it is right there. Look at that. It's just globs of it. That is terrible. I mean, it's there. I'm not going to not eat. And I mean, don't get it twisted. Like, we actually ate.
I mean, it wasn't like it was going to make you get sick.
Right. No, we 100% ate.
Do you see the look of disgust on my face when you did that?
I'm sorry, you were disgusted by me?
I'm not disgusted by you, of just how it looked.
The idea of, I mean, it's there. I'm not going to not have it. But,
yeah, but
okay.
I'm like contemplating it. That's fine.
Contemplating. I thought you were going to go somewhere with that word. All these brownies would make you contemplate. All right, we're going to scooch this just forward. And we're up to our Duncan Hines and our, what is this?
The Trader Joe's truffle something another.
So we can even do something fun. We can do something like this to really shake up the way it looks.
Ooh.
And talking about this, look at this. I probably overlit this a little bit. We're a little bright.
I got a moon face.
What is a moon face? What is a moon face?
Looks like a moon.
Because it's round?
Yeah.
And white?
Yeah.
And full of crags?
Yes.
But
it'd be cool if I was the dark side of the moon, like Pink Floyd.
What? I don't know. I don't know what she's talking about now.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But
It's been a long day.
That's okay. See, now I lost track. So no, the big difference if we're talking between Duncan Hines and Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's actually has one that was a big difference between all the other three even, and that was the more solid chocolate chips inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell us about chocolate chips?
What do you mean? What can I tell you?
What can you tell us about any of that?
They are delicious, and you should always add them. And when in doubt, even if you are going to use a box brownie mix, I think adding some chocolate chips, if you have them available, definitely takes it up a notch, because some of them get a little melty, and then they make it an extra moist cake. But some of them actually still like kept their integrity of being a chip, so then you have the textural quality.
And you know what? Admittedly, that texture was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So
Plus, and it had Dutch cocoa. I do remember that. So it was a little bit darker and a tiny bit more bitter, which was good because we were having all of these that were just so...
I like that I forgot something and had to come back.
It was a knife.
Ah, there you go. Okay.
So...
I remember my money being on the Duncan Hines being the best, and I don't know why.
Because I think on the very, very rare occasions, if we ever had like a box cake mix or something like that, I think both our families probably actually gravitated more towards Duncan Hines. They've been around since...
Possibly.
Like the box cakes mix from them have been around since like the early 1950s. I think Betty Crocker was one of the first ones. But I think they perfected it. And Duncan Hines is actually named after a real person, unlike Betty Crocker.
Who?
Duncan Hines.
Whoa.
That was his name.
Wow.
He was like a traveling salesman and then like a food critic with his like wife or something. So because he was a traveling salesman, he basically made a guidebook of like places where these salesmen could eat. Like he rated places, kind of like a pre-Yelp.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and then I guess
So what was he selling? Cake mixes?
I actually have no clue what
Probably
he was
not.
selling.
Vacuum cleaners?
Maybe.
No? All right. So here we are, devouring whatever this is. I don't know what we started with. It looks like we started with... We can actually switch this over to...
Okay.
And... Oh, that's not what I was trying to do.
Oh, no.
There we go. So it looks like we have started with actually the... Trader Joe's.
I think it's because you were most excited about the Duncan Hines, so we wanted to leave that for last.
That's true. And I did a terrible job of actually chopping these. I did it with reckless abandon.
That's fine.
And also,
I think it's also because we took so long to have to make them, and then we were just like, we want to eat this and try them.
If you think your house smells Shoving
You are
a knife.
shoving a knife in my
But that one's
face
not
again.
the paring knife. That one looks
No,
like
that
a
is
butter.
a butter knife.
That is butter. See, but I think it's one thing to bake with one tray of brownies in your house. Now try baking 4 simultaneously and imagine how good your house smells. So that was a little bit irresistible.
Oh, I mean, I think of all of the 4 that we had tried, the Trader Joe's one was the most cooked.
Yes.
Like, in a good way.
Yes. But then one of them became a little too cooked, and it wasn't the Trader Joe's one when we reheated them.
Was it the Betty Crocker?
It might have been the Betty Crocker became too cooked on the reheat. And we cooked all 4 of them together.
All this time, have we even taken a sip of that milk? I think we did.
We replenished it halfway through.
Oh, okay, so that confused me.
Yeah,
Did that confuse you as the viewer?
Yeah, see, there you go. I'm sipping the milk.
Okay.
And then we get to the Duncan Hines, which, again, I don't remember the finer details about these, but I do remember what stood out and what didn't. And I guess we'll get to that in a moment when we get to the end of this.
Did you give me like
chatting? Oh no. Yeah. Okay.
No, I did hear chatting. People are, it's like.
It's a little later.
It's a little later. There
you
are. No, I was just saying you gave me like a giant piece, and then like, it took me a while to chew it, and then you were like, "You're quiet," and I'm like, "Yeah."
She's gumming a pile of chocolate.
There you are again.
Yeah.
Eating the.
I mean, it's good stuff.
Off of it.
All right, what do we need to know about the Trader Joe's and the Duncan Hines in general? Is there anything else besides Duncan Hines as a person?
No, they had like a motto of like create sweet moments every day. Isn't that cute?
That is cute. So normally what I would do with these kinds of things is, they're gently colorized to give us a little more whatever. I realize I've probably used too many lights or a little too bright here to compensate for it being nighttime now. So we're not going to colorize any of this. So this is as washed out as we're going to look.
That's fine.
I think we can deal with that.
I could be a ghost.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Nothing.
You meant like an operative?
Operative?
When I said ghost, did you think of like a spook?
No, I thought of you being dead for a second.
Oh.
Like, that's weird. But, okay. So we were sampling these here, but I think we can scooch on ourselves over to our final thoughts as we get a little bit closer, which is going to bring us to right here. And this is where we start to get to our rankings. Oops. There we go. So, how do you improve these take-home brownies? What do you do different?
Well, we did try with all of these to give it a fighting chance by actually using butter
instead of oil.
Instead of oil. I mean, it's not that big of a difference. I mean, you can use oil. I mean, here's the thing. You can use oil, but that makes me think of like more of a chiffon cake or something like that. So, but I just think it makes it feel more homemade, and you do have a little bit more of that luxuriousness by having more fat. So definitely do that. You can also add some like espresso instead of like the milk content or the water content.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Varied widely in these, but you could always put a little bit of espresso in there to amp up the chocolate flavor. If you wanted to, you can also use like a vanilla extract of some sort.
Oh yeah, with reckless abandon.
Something.
Well, and bit of walnuts, bit of chocolate chips. What else is there? Is there something else missing in that?
No, I mean,
remember.
and I also think in my previous experience, I always thought that the box cake mixes tended to bake quicker than they said they would on the box instructions, so that they tend to be drier.
True.
Which is why these 4 kind of shocked me.
Yeah, all 4 of them.
But I also don't know if it's because our oven's not calibrated.
Could be that as well.
Possible.
That is also possible. So here we start our ranking, but before we get there, I do want to, and we'll draw our attention to what these actually look like here. So we've got a handful of these, and we'll start it right there. So here we've got our Betty Crocker, and this is going to whip by really quick. But I mean, fairly generic, I suppose. But you can still see it's kind of liquidy. Looks like spread frosting.
But both of them are quite glossy.
Yes, but our Pillsbury is noticeably darker.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, normally for me that would make you think that it's like better chocolate or darker chocolate, but I don't think that was the case here.
That looked like a hot mess because there wasn't a lot of liquid called for.
Yeah.
So it was really, really thick.
And the Trader Joe's was actually quite dark, actually the darkest by a good margin.
That's because it had Dutch cocoa.
Yeah, and it did actually have a much better, darker flavor. Although the Duncan Hines here,
It looks like frosting,
it does look more like frosting, but
but in a good way.
as we see, we'll get to our ranking here, and so we do this more visually. But we're actually torn. So we both agreed that Betty Crocker and Pillsbury were at the bottom.
Correct.
Similar enough, but at the bottom. But then we have the Trader Joe's and the Duncan Hines. And overall, I think I prefer the Duncan Hines. I think it cooked a little bit better, just slightly. But there was some je ne sais quoi about the flavor that I liked. Although, admittedly, it didn't have that as good a dark flavor or that quite as good as a texture. But something about it I still liked better slightly than the Trader Joe's. However, you preferred the Trader Joe's. Why is that, Katie?
I did, just because I prefer dark chocolate and I appreciated the chocolate chips in them. That said, I still ate way too many Duncan Hines brownies for my liking.
Is there such a thing?
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as liking too many?
Yeah.
Having too many? Rather?
Yeah, there is, because sometimes you're like, hey, too much of a good thing is not good.
Too much of a good thing? Like too much money? I guess money's not good though.
Well, money corrupts. See, not good.
Are we gonna get like weirdly
Philosophical?
poetical? Yes. What'd you say?
Philosophical.
Oh wow, not heard that. I heard like El Salvadorian. I'm deaf. So we're wearing these headsets.
Right next to you.
I'm wearing a headset.
That doesn't work.
That's a secret. All right, so we have two functioning microphones. Actually, Katie's, because she's further away from the studio mic that we have right here, which is actually picking up my voice. We do have matching headsets so that when we do use separate computers, but I couldn't link both headsets into my studio recorder and also have this at the same time. So I'm actually using the studio mic. This is just for show. But thanks for showing the behind the curtains, Mr. Dr. Wizard of Oz.
I'm all about transparency. So
It's true. You've got transparency in the way that you are at work, and I was gonna make that joke.
Anyway, but yeah, when we were talking about the kind of Duncan Hines versus the Trader Joe's, we also talked about price. So for Duncan Hines, it was $2.29 for the entire box. Trader Joe's was $3.49, and then we were talking about with the different, slightly different price, is the Trader Joe's worth it? And I said at the time, no. Like, if given a choice and I was at a Ralph's, it's not like I'd be like, ooh, I have to go to Trader Joe's and get the box mix from there.
That's fair. So Duncan Hines economically?
Yeah, I think so. It means that they were $2.29. Betty Crocker was $2.99, which it should not be because it was the worst of the bunch in my opinion. And then Pillsbury was $1.79.
I mean, I guess if you want to be as cheap as possible, Pillsbury wasn't bad, but...
It wasn't.
Okay. All right, not bad. Do we have any other thoughts about this? You have some big emotion.
I can show you the world. That's what
Any other thoughts? Oh, see, and look, we've drank...
all the milk.
Yes.
See, so that clearly indicates that we're at the end of this episode.
And look, I'm holding my mug, so I'm already clearly saying, like, we're getting towards the end there, right? That's what's happening.
You're like, hurry up.
We're
Stop
gonna end
with
this
the
episode.
gesticulating. I gesticulate way too much.
There's no such thing as too much with that regard. Remember, well, I guess, see, that there's a good thing that you can't do too much of. Too much gesticulating, right?
Perhaps.
Are we going to match this to what we're doing in there at the end of it?
Nah.
Right? Oh, I guess the important thing here is where can they find us?
You can find us on YouTube, of course. You can find us on Instagram at KR Compares. And then you can also see us on rjpfilms.com/KR Compares. And where can they find you, even though you briefly mentioned it in your shameless plug earlier in the episode?
Ah, yes. Twitch.tv/the original Nyando for current streaming, which right now is including Mondays and Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific. And right, we're doing one chapter at a time, Resident Evil 4 Remake on hardcore, which I feel like is an important distinction.
So why is it called hardcore and not bear traps galore?
I've been dining in a lot of bear traps. So, but yes, I don't know. We're up to 11. We've stepped in 11 bear traps.
Total?
So, yes, total.
Oh, I thought you were going to say yesterday.
No, not yesterday. No, I think it was just one yesterday. I forget. Anyway, and we're doing some highlight reels about that too. We may have a TikTok featuring those kinds of things. I'm not sure yet what to do
Comment
with those
down
highlights.
below if you think that is something you would be interested in. You know, he's very funny. He's very quippy. He could talk your ear off all day. So.
I mean, all right, admittedly, yes, I can do that. So if you want to hear me talk to myself and talk about movies and make inane references and occasionally just stumble over my words, there's a highlight or clip or something that's been clipped in there. You can find it on the VODs. Anyway, I'm Rob.
And I'm Katie.
And we'll see you next time.
Take care.